This is how I nearly sabotaged my biggest manifestation. Hey, my name is IamSolTara and I'm an alchemist and a medium who shares practices from ancient Egypt and Atlantis that focus on alchemy. If that resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe. So with manifestation work, most people think about like manifesting things as like the biggest problem. But one of the biggest problems I've seen after working with people from over 70 countries from all walks of life is that a lot of us actually block ourselves from receiving our manifestations. And in this video, I'm going to explain 3 things that you can do to make sure that you actually receive your manifestations by sharing my experience of how I nearly sabotaged not manifesting and getting my first home. So me and my wife had been looking for our first home for nearly 14 months. And honestly, we got to a point where I was just totally exhausted because we had been looking at like nearly at least 30 houses. And so I was to the point of giving up and being, okay, let's just move out of this apartment because we didn't like it. And let's just go move to and rent another place. And so we looked at nearly 16 apartments, and one of the places that we liked, we called and they actually had just signed the lease 2 minutes before we had called them. And so a few days went by, and then we found another place that we really liked and it was perfect for us, and we called and they're like, oh, actually just 5 minutes ago I literally just got the deposit from someone who is going to rent this place. So at that point could see like, oh, this is such like everything's not going my way. But actually my spirit team was looking out for me and my wife because they were actually blocking us because they were like, no, you actually need to buy your home. So a few days after that, we ended up finding this beautiful home the day of the January 11th portal, so the 111 portal. And if you know anything about me, I love manifesting, healing, and working with portals overall. A portal is basically a concentration of energy that is either created by space or by time. So we had been manifesting this place, and we find it, and it was really fascinating because in the front of the home there was an olive tree, and olive trees represent peacefulness. And me and my wife, harmony and peace is one of our top priorities in our lives, but also like we want our home to feel very peaceful. And one of the things that we were also manifesting is that the home was fully renovated, because I didn't want to go through the headache of having to change the floors, and all these things, because I am very against carpet because I have some nasal issues and I just don't want dust. We're in the desert, right? So we were just like, all right, the home has to be renovated. So this place is fully renovated, and in the middle of the home, there's this giant fireplace with high ceilings, and the fireplace is actually made of limestones. And limestones are the crystals that were used to create the pyramids, which the reason why the ancient Egyptians used limestone is because it's basically like battery. It carries energy and it holds energy to power your phone, your laptop, etc. Except it was powering the energy of a pyramid. That's why the ancient Egyptians used it. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect home. This is so cool. But there was one little thing, that it did not have a bathtub. And for me, honestly, that was a deal breaker because I love to take full moon baths. Connecting with water is one of my safe places, and so for me that was a deal breaker. But at the time, we were like so excited, so we put in an offer, and we actually beat out a cash offer and 3 other offers. And so I was like, all right, it looks like our spirit guides are helping us out. But then I was still in the back of my mind like, oh, I really want a bathtub. And so I had this lack of alignment within me. I had a resistance. And what was fascinating is that we were actually supposed to close the home and get our keys on the 2/2 portal, the February 2nd portal. But somehow the landlord, the owner of this home, they were abroad overseas, and they had changed their appointment randomly, so we wouldn't be able to close on the 2/2 portal. And that to me was a big indicator that hey soul, you're the one that is blocking your manifestation, because your guides wanted it to give you on this portal and you would actually close it on the 2-2 portal. But because of this resistance, the energy cannot flow through. And so then I was like, okay, I gotta do my inner work. I want this home, I really want it. And then it was fascinating because it wasn't just that issue, but we actually had money, we had issues, tech issues, depositing the funds into the new home. So you see, like, when you are not aligned, things start to go haywire and just friction is created, and then things become more difficult than they need to be. And so once I aligned myself and I was like, okay, yes, this is the actual home I want. It was our first home for me and Honey, so we were both really excited. We were also nervous because we've never done this before. And so once I aligned myself and I was like very clear on what I wanted, everything started to flow through. We actually got a call from our realtor, and he said that the owners were going to give us all of their old furniture. And because we had been living in apartments prior to that, we had no furniture. And so it was just like so perfect. And when we were moving out of our old place, of our apartment, after we packed up and we got into the car, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m. And 1, 2, 3, 4 is anytime you see these ladder numbers like 4, 5, 6, anytime you see that ladder combination, it means that you're moving forward. You're having momentum, you're progressing. And that was just so beautiful. When we got to the home, my parents were here and they were helping me unpack and stuff. And I go to the backyard and I see a white feather. And I was just like, oh, okay, thank you so much, guys. Like, I know this was the home for us. Because honestly, like, we had been looking for a home in 3 different states. We had looked at least over 30 houses. Like, it took 14 months to find this place. So it felt really good to have all of these confirmations. But again, like, that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be shooting this video in like my home office that I'm in now if it wasn't for creating this alignment within. So here are 3 things that you can do to not sabotage yourself and to dissolve the blocks that are preventing you from actually receiving your manifestations. So the first thing is that within alchemical principles, the mind is one of the top priorities. So you have to get very clear on what you want, but then also you have to get very clear on that at the heart level, because the mind, it radiates out an electromagnetic field. Think about it as a Wi-Fi signal. Your mind is radiating out this signal, and your heart is also radiating out this signal. Actually, the mind and the heart are the biggest sources of electromagnetic energy within our bodies. And so when you can really get clarity on this and master them, then you'll notice that your manifestations will come very fast and in divine timing. Keep that in mind as well, but they will come more smoothly. The second thing is you have to not get stuck in the details. And don't get too sucked up into the nitty gritty, because over analysis creates paralysis. Like, just like my home, right? Like, it was renovated, it had crystals, it had all of these perfect things, and it just didn't have a bathtub. And so that's why I didn't want it, you know? So that was like my little princess move over there. But when you get over analytical about what you want, it creates blocks internally. And so that goes in alignment with number 3. Once you have clarity in your mind and in your heart about what you actually truly want, then state that out clearly, and that will manifest things very fast and smoothly. Because think about like a water pipe. So let's say you have a pipe here that's govern the location by your mind. So your mind is here, but if your heart is going to be here, the other pipe that's dictated by the heart, then you're not going to have alignment, and the water's just going to flow through, and it's not actually going to go where you want to go. So when you have alignment between the mind and the heart, then that manifestation, that healing, whatever it is that you're manifesting, will actually be able to flow through into this physical material plane. Otherwise, most of the time our manifestations get stuck in the 4th, 5th dimension, because we're not creating alignment within the 3rd and 4th dimension. So they just kind of get stuck in that plane. And that's why we got to dissolve the blocks first in order to actually receive our manifestations. And it's really fascinating because like a few weeks ago, I've been in my home now for almost 7-8 months, and I noticed that my neighbors, they have a Kuan Yin statue, and Kuan Yin, she is the goddess of compassion, of love and healing, and she's one of my main spirit guides. And before, when we used to live in Singapore, we actually used to live on Queen Street. She's known as the Queen of the Ocean, and we used to live right behind the Kuan Yin temple. So it's so beautiful how my guides brought me here. And the neighbors, they also have tree guardians, like someone carved guardians on their trees. So it's just so beautiful how everything just fell into alignment, and it wouldn't have unless I had created that clarity between my mind and my heart's desires. So that's just one example. You know, it's the biggest purchase of my life, likely will be the biggest purchase of my life, and it's also the biggest manifestation because it's a whole new chapter in my life, right? Like now I have a home, and so just keep in mind all of these things. And this is not the first time that this has happened to me, actually. You know, and despite like everything that I am aware of, you know, our subconscious mind and our emotions are so powerful, and that's why we always have to master them. The first time that I realized that I was manifesting, one of my manifestations was when I was manifesting a book deal. That was actually also a year ago, and I actually had manifested 3 different book deals. Like 3 different publishers reached out to me. I didn't like 2 of them because they wouldn't let me maintain the copyright over the book, but then the other one, I was like, oh, okay, like I resonated with them, and I sent in my proposal. But when I sent it, I was very reluctant because I was focused on building the Golden Age Alchemy Academy. And so I was like, I don't want this book to take up too much of my time. Then I won't be able to focus on the Golden Age Alchemy Academy. And so after I submitted the proposal a few weeks later, it actually took a really long time to hear back from them. And it turns out like that, you know, they didn't love my proposal. And so again, like that was because I was hesitant about investing too much time into a book because I wanted to focus my time on something else. And so even though you may be receiving your manifestations, just make sure that you create alignment so that you can actually truly materialize them into your life. And that's why one of the most important things to do is not to manifest from the mind, from the ego space, but manifest at the heart level, at the soul level, because then you will actually manifest things that are in alignment with your soul, that are going to nourish all parts of your life. And I hope that you enjoyed this. If you want to listen to some free manifesting and alchemy meditations, I have some in the description of this video, and I hope this helped. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see. Thank you for your comments, thank you for your likes, and thank you for subscribing and sharing. Much love.